The sun had not yet risen over Rio de Janeiro when the private jet touched down at Galeão International Airport. On board, one of the most decorated coaches in football history stepped off with calm steps but an alert gaze. Carlo Ancelotti had finally arrived in Brazil. In the reserved area for authorities and guests, businessman Diego Fernandes adjusted his blazer while replying to messages on his phone, preparing for a moment that promised to mark a new era in Brazilian football and in business. When Ancelotti appeared at the arrival's gate, Diego approached with a confident smile and a slight nod. "Welcome to the land of football. There's someone very eager to meet you." Leaning casually against a black SUV with tinted windows, Giorgi Dask watched the scene with an unlit cigarette in hand and the look of someone already seeing the headlines. The Greek tycoon, owner of Betano, stepped forward, shook Ancelotti's hand, and said in heavily accented Brazilian Portuguese, "At last we meet. Professor, Brazil will be too small for what we can do together." After a few diplomatic compliments and polite laughter, Giorgi pulled out his phone and, as direct as a seasoned gambler, said, "Give me your number, Carlo. We still have a lot to talk about." In the humid Rio morning heat, amidst smiles and saved contacts, a new game was beginning, one to be played off the field. Hours later, Ancelotti was discreetly taken to the CBF headquarters, where top executives awaited him. The president greeted him with enthusiasm, but the atmosphere was thick with caution. What seemed like an institutional visit was, in fact, a high-level strategic move. As Carlo reviewed reports, projects, and the national team's working structure, his phone vibrated silently inside his jacket. Messages from Giorgi Daskalakis. "Did you enjoy Rio's weather? Don't forget what we talked about," followed by a rocket emoji, simultaneously. Diego Fernandes also received concise, direct messages. "We're in this together, right?" Already used to behind-the-scenes pressure, Diego tried to stay focused. He knew Giorgi never messaged just for courtesy. Every ping felt like a subtle reminder that the real match was being played off the pitch. Days after the CBF visit, Carlo Ancelotti made an appearance at Maracana Stadium to watch the match between Flamengo and Deportivo Táchira in the Libertadores Cup. Cameras captured his discreet but elegant arrival. Some fans tried to photograph him from afar. In a private box, he watched the game with an analytical gaze, accompanied by Diego Fernandes, who split his attention between the field and his phone. Moments later, Giorgi Daskalakis joined them with a faint smile and a silent handshake, as if they had been working together for years. As the crowd roared and flares lit up the sky, the three held an intense but measured conversation, praised the atmosphere of Maracana, but didn't take long to lay his cards on the table. He wanted Ancelotti as Betano's global ambassador, a partnership that went far beyond sports marketing. "This stadium breathes history, and you could be part of the next legend," he said persuasively. Diego, acting as a skilled mediator, aligned their interests. This was not a courtesy meeting, it was the beginning of something far greater. After the match, the trio headed to a private dinner at a luxury restaurant in Rio's South Zone. The setting was refined, but the conversation was sharply calculated. Over seafood and fine wine, Giorgi unveiled his formal proposal: €50 million to make Ancelotti the global face of Betano, with an exclusivity contract and campaigns in multiple languages. A brief silence fell over the table. With his characteristic elegance, Ancelotti placed his wine glass down and replied with a calm half-smile, "It's not about the money. It never was." He thanked Giorgi for the offer and praised his vision but made it clear his focus was on football projects, and he did not want to associate his image with the world of gambling. Though visibly disappointed, Giorgi kept his composure. He raised his glass and toasted, "Two great men, and even greater decisions." On the way back to his new home, in a discreet Rio condominium, Carlo and Diego traveled in silence. The city slept, but the conversation still echoed in the air. Looking out the window, Ancelotti said firmly, "Diego, I need you to understand something. I don't want any business related to sports betting or gambling, and I don't want anyone near me with those intentions." Diego nodded, listening quietly. Carlo continued, "It's not just a matter of image, it's personal. I've seen too many people lose everything because of that. Players, friends, entire families. I can't make money knowing I might be feeding someone else's suffering. If we're going to do business, let it be clean. With purpose, to build, not destroy." In that moment, Diego understood. He wasn't just representing a coach. He was standing beside a man of unshakable principles. Days later, news of Ancelotti's rejection began circulating in the Brazilian press. At first it sounded like a rumor, but sources close to the matter confirmed the Italian coach had turned down €50 million because he didn't want to associate his image with gambling. The reaction was immediate. Sports programs, renowned journalists, and influencers praised his ethics, his consistency, and the courage to say no in a world where nearly everyone says yes for the right price. What no one expected was the domino effect. Ancelotti's decision sparked a national debate about the influence of betting houses. especially on youth and vulnerable communities. Influential figures began revisiting endorsement deals. Some sponsors were publicly questioned and gave no interviews. He didn't seek applause. He simply carried on with his life. But for the Brazilian people, he had already scored his first truly meaningful goal, not on the field, but in the collective conscience of a nation that still believes in dignity,